So here to break it all down is Jonathan Katz. He is the senior advisor for Ukraine with the German Marshall Fund. And Mr. Katz, thanks for being with us. President Biden's goal for this trip was to reinforce U.S. commitment to Ukraine and to get other allies to stay on board. Did he succeed?
Yeah, it was an incredibly successful trip for the president, unfortunately coming just a few days before the anniversary of the start of an unprovoked, unjust war by Vladimir Putin. President Biden rallied not only allies and partners, but he also announced additional funding and support for Ukraine, $500 million in additional military assistance. They will roll out new sanctions as well to hold Putin accountable. But this trip was about keeping allies and partners together, supporting Ukraine. The president's trip to Kyiv in a space that was quite dangerous with air sirens going off was truly historic. And the point now is to continue this support to help Ukraine win the war and ultimately bring a peace. And right now, unfortunately, that's not the case with Vladimir Putin. And as we saw today, Putin was making more threats to continue the war. President Biden's message was timed just right.
Mr. Katz, explain to our audience why it was important or significant for the president to go to Kyiv when we have already seen Boris Johnson go. He went first. We saw Ursula von der Leyen from the EU go. We've seen all of Europe's leaders go. Why was it significant that the president of the United States went to Kyiv?
President Biden was the first leader to call President Zelensky the day of February 24th, 2022, when the conflict began. He invited President Zelensky to the White House just several weeks ago, which was historic. But an American president traveling to a country where the U.S. does not control the security situation in that country was quite extraordinary. The United States over the past year has been the leader in support of providing assistance, military assistance, economic assistance, humanitarian assistance, and has really built the coalition, both transatlantic coalition, our EU and NATO partners, but also internationally to support Ukraine. So the president being on the ground, being there to support the Ukrainian people so close to this unfortunate anniversary was really important and historic, given the sense of what's taking place on the ground. Air raid sirens, as I mentioned before, in the background, and obviously a very dangerous situation for an American president to go. But the President Biden was resolute and is showing again the type of leadership the United States needs to carry out in order to address threats like Vladimir Putin.
I want you to listen to a part of the president's speech today in Warsaw, Poland. I want you to pay close attention to how he condemned Russia.
Together we made sure that Russia is paying the price for its abuses. We continue to maintain the largest sanction regime ever imposed in any country in history. And we're going to announce more sanctions this week together with our partners. We'll hold accountable those who are responsible for this war, and we'll seek justice for the war crimes and crimes against humanity continuing to be committed by the Russians.
I bring that bite up because early on it appeared that the administration did want to poke the bear, walking back comments last year where the president said, this guy can't remain in power. Tonight it seems like all gloves are off.
Yeah, I think when you see and if you've seen the types of war crimes that have taken place, rapes, execution, torture, the constant bombardment of Ukrainian civilians and violation of international law, you hear from the president that the United States and the international community cannot turn a blind eye to what's taking place. So I think that's where the language is. It's genuine support for the Ukrainian people who are seeking peace. They want to restore their sovereignty and territorial integrity. But most of all, this was an unnecessary war by Mr. Putin and Russia. And I think President Biden understands that it is critical to stand up to autocrats, whether it is Russia, whether it is in China. As we see, this will have ramifications. What takes place in Ukraine will have ramifications for what takes place with China and Taiwan, but also around the globe. When democracy is under assault, whether it's at home or abroad, President Biden has made that a priority because he understands that U.S. national security interests are at stake. And I think that's what the message you're getting across is not just about Ukraine, not just about Europe. This is international democracy, stability, and peace, and it's at stake right now. And I think that the stakes are high. And President Biden going to both Poland and to Kyiv was critically important to send that message, but also to remind the American public why we are making the commitment that the United States is making right now to support Ukraine. And they have to consistently provide that message to the public.
Jonathan Katz, for us, a senior advisor for Ukraine with the German Marshall Fund of the U.S. Jonathan, thank you for your insight. And by the way, a little point of clarification. Ursula von der Leyen is the head of the European Commission. I misspoke earlier.